Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. That's our Wednesday night. We'll be reading through the Tanak. I think we in Genesis. This is 24th of May, 2023. For those that don't know, you can go to our YouTube channel and the Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. A lot of information is given, and the videos can make dots for you and lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving through the videos, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Okay, this is a non-Messianic channel, and by that we mean Tanak and Torah. We deal with Tanak, which is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah, which is the first five books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening. And like I said before, welcome to our reading through the Tanakh. We're going to do our moment of silence, of prayer, Psalms, current events, a little need to know information. We open up for some Q&A, comments. Then we'll go into our reading out of the Tanakh. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts. And all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before thee at this hour, praising you and honoring you because of your position both in heaven and upon the earth, the position in which the Creator Yahweh has given unto thee, and through your spirit and your counsel, oh Lord, we have awakened. We have awakened to know who we are as a people and who you are as our Savior and our Redeemer. We are thankful for all that you have done, and we are eagerly searching the scriptures out that we may be in the right place at the right time upon your arrival to this planet. We love you. We seek you daily, O Lord. There is none else besides thee to redeem us. We see you in the affairs of the world, and we faithfully await your deliverance. Peace be unto you. Okay. Psalms. I'm going to read Psalms 149. It's the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. Praise ye the Lord. Sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him, and let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name and dance. Let them sing praise unto him with timbrels and harp. For the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in your glory. In glory, let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with feathers of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all saints. Praise ye the Lord. Okay, so any comments on that? So if you look at verse 9, it's talking to saint. When it's talking about saints, like I said, a saint is somebody that was dead and came back to life, or somebody that's dead, according to the Gentiles, somebody that's dead, lived honorably, and he died, he buried him. But the Most High tells us that, when you rightly divide the word, it's a saint is he's going to raise up all our forefathers, saints. So it says in verse 9, the reason he's going to raise them up, it says, to execute judgment upon them. To execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all saints. Praise ye the Lord. So you go to Daniel right quick, and then you'll see right here, verse chapter 7, verse 17 and 18, he says, Gabriel telling Daniel this. This is a prophecy of the last days. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall rise on the earth. Then it says, but the saints, right here, of the Most High, shall take the kingdom, possess the kingdom forever and ever. Right? So these saints he's going to resurrect them in Ezekiel 37. That's why it says to execute judgment upon those, to execute judgment which is written. So that's in Daniel and Ezekiel 37. He's going to raise up the whole house of Israel out of the graves. That's the promise they had before they died. They knew that. They died knowing that. It's in Ezekiel 37. It's in Daniel. Well, I just read Daniel chapter 7. Then it's in let's go there right quick. Joel. Because it's tied to his psalm right here. So if we go to Joel, you'll see it says in chapter 2 of Joel, verse 1, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, sound the alarm in my holy mountain, and let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. For the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, the day of darkness and gloominess, the day of clouds and of thick darkness, a morning spread, as morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and is strong, there have not been ever the like, neither shall any more appear, even unto the year of many generations. So this great people is saints when he resurrect them. Then it says the fire devour before them, behind them a flame burning. The land is as Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on top of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of flames of fire that devour the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their faces the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the walls like men of war, and they shall march every one on his way, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall all walk every man in his path, and they shall not and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city, and they shall run upon the walls, and they shall climb upon the houses, and they shall enter in at the windows like a thief. So that's these and go back to Psalms 149 in verse 6, says, let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. That's his army. To execute vengeance upon the heathen, that and punishment upon the people, and to bind their kings. Now I told you what kings was. Kings is these, we was talking about it last night. Og, Bashan, all them kings, Amorite kings, the ones that with the I-M on the end of their name. They was kings. Those fallen angels, especially Simjaza and the Athiel and Samuel, that showed them how to make weapons and how to fashion metal and put beautified metals and put rubies and stones inside those metals. And that's what they would have on their head. That's what originally what a king was. That's what the Israelites saw when they came through the land in Deuteronomy chapter 2. These giants, the ones that's like grasshoppers, made men look like grasshoppers, they came out, the leaders. So he says right here, let the high praises of God be in their mouth. That's the saints of the Most High. He raised up this army and a two-edged sword in their hand to execute vengeance upon the heathen. That's these people who didn't come from the Creator. They originated from the fallen angels and from what Lucifer did in the garden. And punishment upon the people to bind the kings, right? Just like they bind fallen angels. He sent Michael on to bind up those fallen angels, to bind their kings with their chains and their nobles with feathers of iron. Then it says, to execute upon them the judgment written. I just showed you where it was written at. That's what that's talking about. Any comments? Okay.
Shalom.
Okay.
Is it something with the dry bones also?
Yeah, that's it. That's Ezekiel 37.
Okay. And I just want to go back to the, when we were in service in the building, they would sing the song when the saints go marching in. Uh, I don't know if they knew exactly what they were saying, because I
Right.
remember in church we were saying
Right.
we're going to be in that great number. So
Right.
it bringing to mind now the saints are the ones coming up from the dead, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they just put a Greek and a Christian twist on it. That's what that is. They didn't put another understanding on what a saint is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So anybody else got anything? Okay. Got a couple of current events right here.
Tonight, we start with what's cooking in the US. Joe Biden is struggling with a major crisis at home, arguably the biggest of his presidential stint so far. If he fails to contain it, it will hurt the whole world. It will have an impact on all of us. What are we talking about? The US debt crisis. Their government is running out of money. We've been telling you about this. They have a limit on how much money the government can borrow. It's called the debt ceiling. That limit is a little over $31 trillion. It sounds like a lot of money, but the US government has spent most of it. So now they need more money to run the country, to pay for their schemes, to give salaries to their employees. Where will this money come from? The government will have to borrow. But to be able to borrow, they must increase the debt ceiling. And to increase the debt ceiling, they need the opposition party, that is the Republicans, on board. That is the rub. The Republicans won't agree. They've had multiple meetings. They keep saying they're making progress, but they haven't agreed to a deal. And time is running out. The US has 1 week to fix this. Some debt payments are due as early as the 1st of June. They need money for that, else they will default. In other words, the US could default as early as next Thursday. Joe Biden realizes how critical this is. He canceled his trip to Australia for this. It led to the cancellation of the Quad.
Join Happy Optimum customers and get 1 gig of
the Republicans, but to no avail. The US is now barreling towards a debt default. If it happens, it will be the first in American history. So a deal shouldn't even be a matter of discussion. But it has become a contested issue thanks to the divisions in American politics. Their national prestige is on the line. Their economy could sink, but Democrats and Republicans cannot resolve their differences. Yesterday, Biden met this man. His name is Kevin McCarthy, a Republican leader and the Speaker of the US House of Representatives. This is the lower house of the US Congress. Republicans command a majority in this house, and this is where Biden's deal is stuck. He needs McCarthy to sell the debt deal to Republicans. As Biden went into the meeting, he sounded optimistic.
We're optimistic we may be able to make some progress because we both agreed default's not really on the table. We've got to get something done here.
He may have spoken too soon. Biden's meeting with McCarthy lasted for an hour. They called it productive, but it did not yield a deal.
I thought the meeting was productive. I thought it was more productive than the other meetings, but we still have differences.
We still have differences, he says. Fundamentally, this is about how the US government spends its money and where it spends that money. The Republicans think the Democrats are overspending. They want sweeping cuts in the budget. Spending worth $4 trillion to be slashed. That's what they want. But the Democrats refuse to do this. Their offer is to keep the spending flat, meaning the existing budget stays and they won't spend a penny more.
Now it's time for the other side to move from their extreme positions because much of what they've already proposed is simply, quite frankly, unacceptable.
That's where the deadlock is. Budget cuts. Republicans want them, Democrats don't. What is the way out? Kevin McCarthy was asked about this. What would it take to break the deadlock? You know what his reply was? June 1, the deadline, the date on which America is expected to default. That was his answer. It seems like the Republicans want this to go down to the wire. Experts are calling this impasse outrageous.
Well, to be frank, I think it's quite ridiculous that we're doing this again, right? I feel like it just shows the rest of the world how dysfunctional our government has been over the last 10, 15 years. And, you know, in my eyes, we're playing Russian roulette with the United States credit.
Playing Russian roulette with US credit. That does seem to be the case here. American lawmakers are behaving irresponsibly. They're flirting with default, and this could have serious repercussions. If a deal is delayed, it will lead to uncertainty. Investors may choose to pool their money. There will be a crisis of confidence. This impasse is hurting the credibility of the US financial system, and it's not something you can undo overnight. The worst case scenario will be a default. If that happens, all bets are off. It's hard to really predict the exact outcomes. It will shake up global markets and trigger a huge sell-off on Wall Street. There could be bankruptcies. The US dollar could weaken, and all this will have ripple effects across the world. Prices of commodities like oil could go up. Even wheat could become more expensive, especially for countries that import these goods and pay in the US dollar. People who invest in the US markets could see losses. Pension accounts with investments in US stocks could see their corpus decline. The impact will be significant and far-reaching. But American lawmakers can't seem to see beyond their petty politics. They're willing to risk a default only to make the other side look bad.
Okay. Any comments on that?
It's sad.
Right, exactly. That's where we at, though. That's what these people, that's how they operate. Okay.
Few seconds to let you guys connect, and I've got some breaking news. Not the best news, but I trust that you will understand. So let me wait a few more seconds, and then I will give you an update on what is going on, okay? Because a lot is going on, okay? So let's see who is connecting and where you guys are from. I'm in Oslo, or the way the locals say Oslo. We just landed here a few hours ago. I'm going to go to be interviewed on Channel 10 television in an hour. And then tomorrow we got a conference in Oslo, then Bergen, then Haugen, and then back home. So from the US, people from Hawaii. Where else are you guys from? Just let me know. Canada is in the house, I can see. Texas is in the house. Who else is watching? Guten Abend. I see people from Germany. Any more? Canadians, wonderful. Okay, so watch this. First of all, if you can press the share button, I would appreciate that. So my channel, over 300,000 subscribers. Don't follow any other Amir Tsarfati channel that is not with that many, because this is not me. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I have been updating in the last few hours some things that are going on, and a lot of people are not aware of what is going on. Okay, so today both the Israeli military commander, the Minister of Defense, and the Prime Minister paid visits to different units that took place in the recent operation in Gaza, but are also right now exercising for something much bigger. Minister of Defense said what we did in Gaza was great, but what we're actually working on right now is getting ready for something much, much bigger. The head of the Israeli military said the next conflict is going to be much, much more comprehensive. He even said that there are some very troubling information and news from Iran about uranium enrichment and about other things that they're plotting. The Minister of Defense, as well as the head of the military intelligence yesterday, pointing at Hezbollah as an organization that was tasked by Iran to do something now in the immediate future. And Israel is now getting ready for something that might be what we call preemptive strike on Hezbollah, because we have intelligence that they're plotting something very big, including the option of mimicking what the Ukrainians are doing right now in southern Russia, in Russia. I don't know if you know, but in the last 3 days, and I've been reporting that on Telegram, in the last few days, there are Russian troops that are actually operating on behalf of Ukraine. This is a Russian militia of Russians that either defected or they've been collaborating with the Ukrainians. They crossed the border from Ukraine to Belgorod and took over several places, several villages. They're on their way to a nuclear storage location in Belgorod. And literally, for the first time, Ukraine invaded Russia. Now, why am I saying that? Because this is the new thing right now. We will keep you occupied by, or busy, or surprise you, or maybe embarrass you by invading into your territory and taking over villages and towns and taking people as hostages. Israel is getting ready for such a scenario. Hezbollah, in front of cameras 3 days ago, had an exercise where they are literally in front of the camera telling the whole world, we are practicing on invading into northern Israel, taking over Jewish settlements there on the border and taking hostages. Israel, the Israeli chief of staff just said that if we're going to have multi-fronts confrontation, which means from Gaza to Lebanon, from Syria, and other places simultaneously, we will not play the good guys and, knocking on the roof in order to let you leave your house or something like that. No. We are going to destroy infrastructures of countries if needed. Israel is telling Lebanon, if you're going to allow Hezbollah to do anything, Lebanon will go back to the Stone Age. But since we're not talking about some very logic people, and these are people that they believe that this is the right time and they are on the wave, and there's no better timing than now to attack Israel. They don't really think about the consequences of what they're about to do. So, bottom line, now listen to this and share it right now, please. The Israeli cabinet is summoned in a few hours to hear a very troubling report on the preparation of Hezbollah in the immediate time to strike in northern Israel. Israel might have to go into what we call preemptive strike, which will mean 2 to 3 weeks of thousands of rockets falling on Israel from Lebanon. Maybe even Gaza will join, but I doubt it, because after what we did to them last time, I don't know if they will try again. But what I'm trying to say is that the Iranians want to keep us, Israel, away from them in Iran. They're very busy in doing something right now, which I am not allowed to tell you at the moment.
Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and question I get all the time is...
Okay, anybody hear anything about that?
No, sir, I haven't.
Well, if it's true, it's all hell gonna break loose because we already have the drama that's going on with our Ukrainian war. This right here is just the powder keg that Israeli conflict. Okay. And from the lights it looks of things, it's gonna happen. This video was today, like 9 hours ago. Okay.
Excuse me, Brother Leonard. Now, is that 9 hours ago our time or 9 hours ago their time? Because I know they are 6 hours ahead of us.
It says on YouTube, it says 9 hours ago. I guess that's our time. Okay. Got some need to know information.
My name is Vicki Dillon, so pleased to be a contributor here on African Diaspora News Channel. Please make sure you give us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. Thank you so very much. Now, family, I've talked to you before here on African Diaspora News Channel about the recent interview results from the Democrat Party's most faithful demographic, which are Black people. Also, there are numbers, statistical numbers and so forth that are coming out from statisticians and demographers that are signaling warning for the Democratic Party because of the lack of enthusiasm that their Black base has for them, particularly the youth. So guess what Howard University does? Howard University, that's considered to be a prestigious HBCU, which means a historically Black college and university here in the United States, they decided to allow Jim Crow Joe Biden to do their commencement speech. Now, I was tripping when I saw this particular clip from his speech. Watch this.
Put democracy on the ballot. To reject political extremism, to reject political violence, protect fundamental rights and freedom for women to choose, for transgender children to be free, for affordable health care and housing, stand against books being banned, Black history being erased. I'm serious, think about it. To stand up for the best in us. Today I come here to Howard to continue the work to redeem the soul of this nation.
Okay, so family, it's clear that he's making his electoral pitch of non-tangibles, right, in this clip. But do you see how the crowd goes wild because Joe Biden shouted out their marching band? Black folks love the nothingness of it all.
Exactly.
It's okay if they get in your choir and put on your robes and sing Amazing Grace with you in your church for a photo op. You're happy when they come to your fish fry and take a picture. You're happy when they shout out your marching band. But you won't demand political protections legally, political laws and protections. And God knows you're not sitting here pushing a specific pro-Black economic program that doesn't include everybody else. They give white Ukrainians, white Afghans, the AAPI community, Asian Pacific Island community. They give the LGBTQ, and they, of course, give members of the dominant society in America, the Caucasian class, in a number of different ways and loopholes and laws and stuff, all kinds of benefits. Y'all okay with that?
Put democracy on the ballot. To reject political extremism, to reject political violence, protect fundamental rights and freedom for women to choose, for transgender children to be free, for affordable health care and housing, stand against books being banned, Black history being erased. I'm serious. Think about it. To stand up for the best in us. Today I come here to Howard to continue the work to redeem the soul of this nation.
This is an outrage and an insult. And the biggest insult is the fact that Dr. Claude Anderson is within proximity of the school, but white schools and establishments refuse to bring his books or even him in those particular establishments. But you welcome with open arms the very man that had everything to do with our modern society of the past several decades, the undoing of black families, because he is the one that's the mastermind and constructed of the anti-black lock 'em up criminal legislation that your very Democratic president that y'all love, Bill Clinton, signed. This is an outrage, and we're not going for it. And the Democratic Party is going to continue to have problems getting our vote unless you give us reparations and reparations now. We believe in voting. That's why we support politicians that push reparations. The question is, why don't you? My name is Vicki Dillon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Vicki.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody know that?
No, sir, I didn't hear about that. But I know as the dollar is falling in value, reparations will probably mean nothing because that, like I said before, the dollar's fall.
Okay. Yeah, so that's like I was saying before, that's crazy. And when you look at the fact that they he said everything that's good. Transgenders, the transgender agenda is good. Out of all the stuff he could have brought up that's wrong in America, he harping on the transgender thing. Not only him, Biden, Kamala Harris, all that. It's crazy. Is there something? And like I said before, these are educated. These are educated folks. Go to the Christian church. Who was the first ones in the church house on Sunday? Who leading that charge? The educated. So-called educated. This is what Esau done done to us. Okay? Them the ones we hold esteem, give esteem to. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments about anything before we start reading?
Shalom, everyone. I just wanted to share some information and say, did you all hear about Florida banning the poem that, what's her name, Amanda read at Biden's inauguration?
What's that?
The young girl that read the poem at she read a little speech at Joe Biden's inauguration, the young black girl.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
I think her name is Amanda. Well, the school in Florida has banned that from one of their schools because one of the parents complained. So they banned the school from using that at the school, saying that it causes confusion and to the students. So that just goes to show you, the things that they do to keep us from saying anything or doing anything. That's been so long ago, but all of a sudden you have a parent that complains and they pull it where they can't even say it, the speech at all.
Right, we shouldn't be surprised because look at where it's coming from, Florida. That's a lot of people talk about Mississippi.
Right.
Mississippi ain't got nothing on Florida when it comes to racism and rednecks. So it should be no surprise. And then they was talking about bringing back the Jim Crow laws Well, look where that's coming from, Mississippi. So
Right.
that you got to pack. We are. If you do your research, we are. That shouldn't be no surprise.
Yes.
We can go deeper than that. Like I said, look at JFAT. Look who JFAT is, and look where all the drama in the world coming from. Come
Right.
from JFAT. So what they telling you can't be the truth.
Right, exactly. And I think one of the comments on the video was it wasn't educational at all. And it was contained indirectly hate messages.
Right,
You
right,
know.
right. Exactly. But there's no problem with all the hate messages they do. There's no problem with all the
Right,
cop killing black folks. There ain't no problem. That don't stir nobody. That's not alarm. There's no alarm on that. But of some bullshit ass poem, you know, something wrong with that.
right, exactly.
Right. That's how they operate.
Shalom.
Okay.
Yeah, shalom. Uh, Governor DeSantis of Florida, as he banning books for the black books authors from schools, he's running for president now. So Florida has a lot going on, and if he does get any higher up in the voting, what percentage, he's really going to start doing what he really wants to do to Florida.
Right.
Separate everyone, pushing all the blacks out, and anyone that doesn't look like him out.
Okay. Ain't that something? Well, Trump is their template. They seen what he stirred up all the rednecks, so that's encouraging them to, if they can get that same fan base, then they figure they can do what Trump did. Okay, just something.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else got anything? Yeah. So I want to shine a light on something that I was dealing with yesterday about we was reading about the Nephilim and how they, it's different cuts on those. When those Nephilims are giants, but it's different cuts on them because you got the fallen angels that slept with the women. That's where you get the Nephilim from, and then these Nephilim start sleeping with women. So these Nephilim had their height, their size, and their great height from because they was direct descendants from the union of the angel with a woman. Then you got smaller. They reduced in size and in stature because of the Nephilim start sleeping with women, so they're not as big. And we know that the Yahweh had those 7 angels to bind those fallen angels that came down in Genesis 6 and put them in in different parts of the earth, in valleys and hills and mountains, and cover them up to the end. But like I said before, he always left a remnant, and then that remnant came about was when he divided. He used that remnant to divide up the earth, and it was because of man's wickedness. So he allowed these uh, uh, angels to be gave them different lots on the earth, regions, and the Lord of Hosts, which is Michael, got Mount Zion. That's the reason, when he came to Egypt and got the Israelites, he brought them back to the land that was given to him. That's why he says, my inheritance. He inherited Israel, then he turned around and gave Israel his inheritance, which was the land that was given to him during the time when the earth was divided up by these angels. So my point is this: we see that just like before the flood, we see different types of giants, levels of giants, because you had these fallen angels not only sleeping with women, but they were sleeping with animals too. You guys, and then you had, like I said, these animalistic crossbred Nephilim that was mixed with animal and angel and all that, man. They start sleeping with women too. So you got all these different types of angels, different type of giants, right? So my point is this: I had mentioned that he always leave a remnant. So we're gonna go to let me go to Genesis. Genesis chapter 10. I was showing that. I went to Genesis 10. Okay. Genesis chapter 10 said that this is a breakdown of what was on the earth after the flood. So it says, chapter 10 says, I started at verse 11. It says, out of the land went forth Asher, and those are Hebrews. You gotta understand that. Out of the land went forth Asher, and built Nineveh, and the city of Reblock and Caleb, and resident between Nineveh and Caleb, and the same is the great city. So they mixing with these Hebrews right here. They intermingle, right? So it says 13, Mezarine. This is what 200 angels came down in Egypt. So this is Mezarine. He's a product out of the Ham's lineage. Mezarine, then Mezarine, we got Lud and Anan, and then 14, I can't say this word, Passerum and Keshem. All these are direct descendants from the angels falling sleeping with women, right? They're huge. And then 15 says Canaan, right? Canaan begot Zidon, his firstborn Het. So these are smaller giants because of, when you understand what happened, Most High told Noah to get two of all kind. It was male and female from all kind of the earth and put them on the ark. So that's who Japhet is. So when they got off the boat, Japhet, which is a cut from the Nephilim, he's out of Cain's descendants, but he's a cut from the Nephilim. He slept with Noah's wife. Canaan is a cut. He's not the size and the stature of these giants that's in chapter verses 12, 13, and 14. These Canaanites are cut, they're smaller. And so they more or less subjects in these different kingdoms, which is one of the kingdoms is right here in verse 10. And the beginning of his kingdom, so this is a kingdom, this Nimrod. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, 5 cities. So the inhabitants of that are these smaller giants, but these bigger giants, these ones that come directly from which live longer, come from the fallen angels. That's who the kings are. These are the ones with crowns on. Okay, so understanding that, I was showing you how that this same thing was going on before the flood. So after the flood, he kept a remnant of those giants that before those fallen angels before the flood. Those are the ones that made up the 70 angels that he divided the earth up with. Let's get an example of that right quick. Then we'll get out of this. So you go to Daniel right quick. Give you some examples. So you look at Daniel chapter 10. Okay. And I'm starting at verse 19. Daniel 10 and 19 says, and he said, oh, this Gabriel talking to Daniel, oh man, greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened. And he said, let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. Then he said, know thou wherefore I come unto thee. And now I will return to fight with the prince. See that? The prince of Persia. So that's Persia is a region that was given to a certain angel. They're not telling you his name. They're just letting you know you're a prince. You're a prince. He's a fallen angel. He's over Persia, right? And when I am gone, lo, the prince of Greece. Then Greece got a prince over him, over Greece. So these two of these 70 angels that was the remnant from before the flood that he gave, he allotted the land out to on the earth. And then 21, but I will show thee that which noted in the scriptures of truth. There's none that holdeth with me in these things except Michael, your prince. So just to let you know who's over Israel, who's the strong one is over Israel, Michael. He's talking to Daniel. Gabriel talking to Daniel, saying, Michael, your prince. Gabriel a prince too, but he's telling Daniel right here, Michael, your prince. So we see right here, 3 out of these 70 angels that was allotted land right here. We see the one over Persia and the one that's over Greece, and then Michael, he's over Israel, the land, that region where Israel is, the land that was given to Israel when they came out of Egypt. So with that being said, I want to go to where I was at last night, Jasher, right? I'm in the book of Jasher. Try to clear this up. So I'm in the book of Jasher, and I was reading out of come on now, what's going on? I'm in okay, I'm in 23 where we was at, and let me read it. I'm not gonna read all of it. So we saw how that in verse 41 it says 40. This is 23 and 40. Let me make sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 23 and 40. This is when Abraham was told to go and sacrifice Isaac. It says Abraham. I'm in verse 40. Abraham went with Isaac toward the place that God had told him. And the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw a place at a distance, which God had told him of. Right, and then we know the story where we read last night. Says 65. Abraham bound his son Isaac, placed him on the altar upon the wood, and Isaac stretched forth his neck upon the altar before his father, and Abraham stretched forth his hand to take the knife to slay his son as a burnt offering before the Lord. And at that time, the angels of mercy came before the Lord and spake to him these 7 concerning Isaac, saying, Lord, thou art a merciful and compassionate king over all thou hast created in heaven and in the earth, and thou supported them all. Give therefore ransom and redemption instead of thy servant Isaac, and pity and have compassion upon Abraham and Isaac his son, who are this day performing thy commands. As thou seen, O Lord, Isaac the son of Abraham, thy servant, is bound down to the slaughter like an animal. Now therefore let the pity be roused for them, O Lord. And at that time the Lord appeared unto Abraham, called to him from heaven, and said unto him, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God and perform me this act, and in not withholding thy son, thy only son from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, a ram caught in the thicket by the horn, that the ram which the Lord God had created in the earth in the day that he had made the heavens and earth. And the Lord had prepared this ram from that day to be a burnt offering instead of Isaac. And this ram was advancing to Abraham when Satan, look at this, Satan caught hold of him and entangled his horns in the thicket, that he might not advance Abraham, in order that Abraham might slay his son. And Abraham, seeing the ram advancing to him, and Satan withholding him, fetched him and brought him before the altar, and loosened his son Isaac from the binding, and he put the ram in his stead. And Abraham killed the ram upon the altar and brought it up as an offering in the place of his son Isaac. So my point is, what I want to shine a light on is Satan. right? And when I told you that's a title, so it says the same thing with dealing with the Garden of Eden. Satan came in the garden. Right here, Satan um, uh, entangled the ram horn in the thicket because he didn't want Abraham to see the ram, because he wanted Abraham. He the one coercing Abraham to kill Isaac. It's not Yahweh. It's not the Lord of hosts or Yahweh. It's him appearing as an angel of light, trying to get him to kill Isaac. So when the angels did come, he tried to prevent him from getting the sacrifice. So it's saying Satan, but that's a title. And so in the garden, it says Satan, but that we know is Samuel. So now I want to show you who the Satan is right here that's dealing with Abraham. This after the flood. This is where these giants, the Nephilim, coming from. Okay? So now I'm in the book of Jubilees. Okay? And I'm in chapter 16.
Excuse me, Brother Leonard.
Okay?
Could you repeat that part? Did you say this was before the flood or after the flood? Because this is the
Abraham
after you.
is after the flood.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. So I got two books of Jubilees here. I'm gonna see what both of them are saying. But let me get it. Okay. Yeah, it's saying it. Not the same. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's okay. I'm in chapter 16. Okay, yeah. So I'm in chapter 16 of Jubilees. Let me get it. Let me make sure I'm in the right place. Yeah, maybe 17. Sure. Yeah, I'm in chapter 17. Chapter 17, and it's starting at verse 12. Says 12. She opened her eyes and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled a bottle of water, and she gave her child a drink, and arose this Hagar. It says, and arose, and she gave the child drink, and she arose and went toward the wilderness of Paran. And I noticed she in the wilderness of Paran, and it's the same place where they went to go get Rebecca, a wife, Isaac. Anyway, it says the child grew and became an archer, and God was with him, and his mother took him, the wife, from among the daughters of Egypt. She, the wife, gave birth to a son and called his name Nebat, for she said, the Lord was closer to me when I called him. In the 7th week, in the first year of it, in the first month, in this Jubilee, on the 12th of this month, there were voices in heaven regarding Abraham, that he was faithful in all that he had told him, and that he loved the Lord, and that in every affliction he was faithful. Now here we go, verse 16. The prince, remember what we just read in Daniel, prince of Greece, the prince of Persia, and the prince that's over Israel. So here we go right here, 16. Prince Manfred came and said to God, so it's an angel, came to the Lord, said, look, Abraham loves. Now remember, this where they concoct the story of Job at. Said Prince Manfred came and said before God, look, Abraham loves Isaac his son, and he delights in him above all things. Tell him of to offer him a burnt offering on the altar, and you will see if he will do this command, and you will know if he is faithful in every way that you test him. And the Lord knew Abraham was faithful throughout all this affliction, for he had tried him through his country and with famine, and he tried him with the wealth of kings, right? And he tried him through his wife, and when he was torn from him and with circumcision, and he had tried him through Ishmael and Hagar, his manservant, and when he went to them away, and he sent them away. In everything that he had tried him, he was found faithful, and his soul was not impotent. and he was not slow to act because he was faithful and a lover of the Lord. And God said, Abraham, Abraham, he said, look, here I am. And he said, take your beloved son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the high country and offer him on one of the mountains, which I will point out unto you. And he got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, took two young men with him, Isaac his son, and he split the wood, and he burnt the offering, and he went to the place on the third day, and he saw the place afar off. So we went through all this. We went through all this in Jasher. Now I'm in verse 9. Said verse 8. And he built the altar. He placed the wood on the altar, and bound Isaac his son, placed him on the wood that was on the altar, stretched out his hand to take the knife to kill his son Isaac. We just read that. And then it says, I stood in the presence of him and before Prince Mamre. They go to Mamre right here. I'm not saying his name right. It's Mastema. So it's a fallen angel after the flood. This is where the Nephilim coming from after the flood. So it says, I stood in the presence of him and before Prince Mamre, and which is Satan. They're saying Satan over in Jasher, but this is his name. It says, and the holy angel stood and wept over the altar as Prince Mamre had, look at this, Prince Mamre and his angels, not Satan. Remember in Genesis, before Genesis 1:1, Satan and his angels, Samuel and his angels fought with Michael and his angels that was cast out. Then he go to remnant right here. Mamre and his angels rejoiced and said, Isaac will be destroyed, and we will see if Abraham is faithful. And the Lord said, command him not to lay his hands on the lad, nor do anything to him, for I have shown that he fears the Lord. And I called to him from heaven and said to him, Abraham, Abraham. And he was terrified and said, here I am. And I said to him, lay not your hand on the lad, neither do anything to him. This is Michael. For now I have shown that you fear the Lord, and I have not withheld your son, your first son, from me. So then it said, now watch this. So Prince Mamre was put to shame and was bound. See that? Just like he did the ones before the flood. After he did this right here and fell, it says he was bound by the angels. Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked and saw a ram caught in his by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it as a burnt offering in the place of his son. And Abraham called the place the Lord has seen, so that it is said, the Lord has seen. This is Mount Zion. So this happened on Mount Zion. Right? That's where the Most High, that's where the Lord holds the well. That's the region, the mountain where it was given to him. Michael. So we see right here where these Nephilim coming from. It's a remnant that was left before the flood. Okay? Any comments? Any comments?
Yep, that's a real breakdown right there.
Right.
Yes, Shalom. Yeah. That's a real good breakdown. It's a breakdown of all of those angels that have those different roles.
Right.
and then when you go back, like you did in Jasher and Jubilee, to see where they say, let us kill Isaac.
Right.
The Lord of Hosts is not going to kill him.
Right, right.
Not like, sacrifice him like that.
Right. And we also see the parallels we see the parallels from it's a ram. It's a ram that was sacrificed for Abraham, wasn't it? I mean, it was a ram sacrificed for Adam, wasn't it?
Right.
Remember in the beginning he sacrificed a ram. Then he took the skin, the hide, and put it on Adam and Eve and covered them. So it's nothing new under the sun. It's a ram being offered right here.
Yes.
Nothing new under the sun. That's what I mean by getting the meat. and leave them
Yes,
bound.
sir.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question too. So when the Most High told them not to, to sacrifice them, and so he held Satan Mestis back and allowed Adam to get the ram. It's showing the power right there.
Right, exactly, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another example of that is, like I said, a lot of people read over that, but let me show you another example of the very same thing. We were just there in Daniel chapter 10.
Right.
So it says, no, it ain't 10. Let me get it. It is, let me see where it says. Give me a minute. I'm not going to try to find it, but everybody should know what it is. It's when Gabriel came to Michael, when Daniel had, Daniel prayed, right? And it says, let me get it. It says, let me see. I'm in Daniel chapter 9, verse 21, 20. And while I was speaking and praying and confessing my sins and the sins of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication before the Lord my God for the holy mountain of my God, yet while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, Gabriel, the archangel Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked with me, and he said, "Oh, Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding." At the beginning of thy supplication, this is when Daniel first started, 21 days ago. At the beginning of thy supplication, the commandment came forth. I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. That ain't it. Let me see. Okay. 7. Anyway, he says that Daniel said,
appearance to Daniel.
What's that?
You asking about Gabriel's appearance to Daniel?
Yeah, he appeared to him. I'm looking for when he said, he told him, he came, he heard him when he first started his supplications in Daniel chapter 9, but he said, I was held up by the prince of Persia. And then he said, but lo, Michael came to help me. So that shows you right there this power that these holy angels got over these fallen angels. They got more power and strength in them. Because when Michael came, they scattered. So it's the same thing right here. He was tricking Abraham, and he had the ram bound and had him pinned down in the thicket. But when Michael came, he scattered. And, I think it's in been a while since I dealt with this. Yeah. So anyway, he says that when Daniel started praying for the 21 days, or fasted on 21 days, Michael came and told him, I heard you when you first started praying the first day, but I was held up by the prince of Persia. And then he said, lo, Michael came to help me. Right. So same thing right there, what we just read in Jubilees with the eyes and this Michael, this Mainstreet or whatever his name was hindering Abraham and Isaac. And Abraham had Isaac get to sacrifice. Okay. Any more comments on that? Okay. Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm gonna start reading. Not try to pick up. I didn't get a chance to read last week. So I'm gonna start. I think I was at I'm gonna start in 12. Genesis chapter 12 says, okay, now the Lord had said, this is Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord had said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, to a land that I will show thee, and I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and I will make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. So this goes back to what I just talking about in Genesis chapter 10. It says, now the Lord said unto Abraham, this is Michael, get thee out of thy country, thy country, and from thy kindred. He down in Ur, or the Chaldeans down in Mesopotamia, because Canaan stole their land and displaced them down there. The original land is where Michael is. So he says, now the Lord said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, that's Terah, unto a land that is flowing with milk and honey. What land? It's the land that Yahweh gave him, Mount Zion, where Abraham sacrificed Isaac at, that region. So that's what he's getting ready to right or wrong. So verse 2 says, and I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and I will make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And so Abraham departed, as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abraham, so Haran is down by Mesopotamia. 5, and Abraham took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. So that's the land of Canaan is actually Abraham's Shem them land. The Canaan stole. So another thing to shine light on is he told him in verse 1, now the Lord said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country, from thy kindred. Right? But notice Lot went with him. He told him to get thee from that kindred. Verse 4. So Abraham departed, as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot, see that? We reading over that. And Lot went with him, but he didn't tell him to take Lot. He said, get away from your kindred. Get away from your people. So keep that in mind, because we know the drama that Lot brought. So it says, so Abraham departed, as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from her out of Haran. And Abraham took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and in the land of Canaan they came. And Abraham passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plains of Moreh, and the Canaanites was there in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abram, and said unto thy seed will I give this land, and there build he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. So see, this the Lord, he dealing with the Lord and seeing the Lord, because that's the land the Lord gave him. Right? So two things I want to shine a light on. So if we go right quick to Exodus chapter 3 right quick. Go to Exodus chapter 3. Right? First, Exodus chapter 3, verse 1. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, came to the mountain of God, even unto Horeb. So he in the land that was allotted to this angel, to Michael. So if you don't understand that, the Christian and Israelites Israelites too, they think it's Yahweh, but the scripture tells you, it says now, Moses kept the flocks of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even the horror. This ain't Yahweh. Then verse 2, and the angel of the Lord appeared. See that? It's an angel. It ain't no Yahweh ain't there. It's an angel. That's the land that was given to him when the earth was divided up. So you go back, it says, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him. So go back to what I just read. I'm in verse chapter 12, verse 5. Abraham took Sarah, his wife, Lot, his brother, right? It's just Abraham right here. Over there was Moses. Abraham took Sarah, his wife, Lot, his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. So this is where you're gonna see him at. They in Haran, they don't see him. They ain't his land. So they get to Canaan, right? They go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. And Abraham passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plains of Mamre, and the Canaanites. See that? Where the Canaanites come from? Canaan, not from a fallen angel. The Canaanites came from Canaan, right? So they're not as big as the sons of Anak. So it says, and the Canaanites was then in the land. Then here you go. The Lord appeared. So when Moses came there, that's his land, he appeared to Moses. Now Abraham in the land, he appeared to Abraham. It ain't Yahweh. And the damn sure ain't Jesus. So verse 7, and the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed will I give this land. So we see this ain't Yahweh giving them the land. Unto thy seed will I give this land, and there builded he an altar unto the Lord, who appeared unto him. See that? The altar ain't for Yahweh. That's major. So go to the altar in the garden. Come on. So this altar ain't to Yahweh. So it says, there builded he, Abraham, an altar unto the Lord, who appeared unto him. It ain't Yahweh that appeared to him. And he removed from this unto the mountain on the east of the Bethel. They go where the Bethel is, where the ladder at, the portal. That's the same land, in the same land that the Lord of hosts, Michael is dwelling at. That's his land. So let's look at that. It says, and he removed, verse 8, he removed from this unto the mountain on the east of the Bethel, right? Let's look at that. It's in Genesis 26. Okay. 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 Give me a minute. Yeah, 28 and verse 10. Let me know when you get it.
Yes, sir.
I'm in 28
Got
and 10.
it.
28 and 10, this Bethel, where Abraham at. Now we over here in Genesis 28 and 10. And Jacob went out from Beersheba, and he went toward Haran, and he lighted upon a certain place, tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took the stones of that place and put them for his pillow. So these are the same stones that what we read now in verse 12 that Abraham used. So it says, and he put them for pillows, and he laid down in that place to sleep. And then here we go. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up in heaven, set up upon the earth, and the top reached unto heaven, right? And behold, the angels of God ascended and descended. Then here you go. And behold, the Lord. See that? That's his area. That's why that was given to him. The portal was there. So it says, and behold, the Lord stood above it. So that ain't Yahweh. Moses came there in Exodus chapter 3. The angel of the Lord showed up. Now we see Abraham there. The angel of the Lord showed up. Jacob there. He see him on. He the one at the top of the ladder. That the angel descending and descending. The Lord of hosts. It ain't Yahweh. Okay, go back. I mean, I was reading in verse 9. I started reading 8 again. 12 and 8. Genesis 12 and 8. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel. See that? The mountain is where all these angels are on mountains. And he pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Hi on the east. And there he built an altar unto the Lord, right? And called upon the name of the Lord. And Abraham journeyed going on still toward the south. So this altar right here, he uses stones to make this altar. These are stones that Jacob laid his head on. That we in 28. Okay, 10. And there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. So let's look at that. How did Jacob end up in Egypt? Can anybody answer that? How did Jacob end up in Egypt? Jacob and his son. How they end up in Egypt? Can y'all hear me? A famine, yeah. It was a famine. So guess who caused the famine? The same angel right here caused the famine. He want them in Egypt. So he brought a famine over that whole area. And they end up in Egypt. So right here, we look at that again. Ain't nothing new under the sun. There was a famine in the land. And Abraham went down into Egypt. So he caused the famine. He's running Abraham down into Egypt. See that? It says, and Abraham went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. Same thing. 70 souls that went into Egypt with Jacob. And it came to pass, when he's come near to enter into Egypt, that he had said unto Sarah his wife, behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. So let's look at that. It's a truckload of information right here. So we see in Genesis chapter 6, the fallen angels, 200. Enoch tell us 200 came through that same portal we just talking about. And they went up on Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon in that same region where Mount Zion at. But they went up on the Mount Hermon, a plateau on Mount Hermon, and they made a pact there. And then they went to Egypt and took wives. They took wives. They already had husbands and stuff. They took them, raped them, flung on them, and got them pregnant. Coerced them, bamboozled them, whatever you want to call it. But it was violent. And they got wives. So we see right here, look what Abraham said. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see. The Egyptians, see that? Egyptians is not Nephilim. They're cut off of the Nephilim. So it says, that's Mezarine, that same word, Mezarine, in Genesis chapter 10. Egyptians, Mezarine, same people. So the Egyptians shall see that? See thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me. See that? That's what the fallen angels did. We see the giants doing the same thing. They see a woman that's fair. Genesis chapter 6 says the sons of God waited on the women to multiply when they took all the women that they saw that was fair. See that? Same thing right here. Therefore it shall come, go back up to 11. Came to pass when he was come near to enter into Egypt. This is where the fallen angels came to. It's giants all over the place. That he said unto Sarah his wife, behold, now I know that thou art fair. They go to fair right there. A fair woman. That's what they're looking for. Fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, right? And they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. So that's telling you what the fallen angels did. They said, let us go down. He made a pact on Mount Hermon and said, let us go down and take us wives of all that we chose. We see right here, Sarah got a husband. What they gonna do? They're gonna kill the husband and take the wife. Ain't nothing holy about that. That's violent. That's what happened with Noah. So guess what was on the boat? We fumbling with it. Okay, 13. Say, I pray thee that thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. Right? And it came to pass that when Abraham was coming to Egypt, the Egyptians, Mizraim, beheld the woman, that she was very fair. The princes also of, now check it out. See that? The princes also of the Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken in the Pharaoh's house. Taken. Right? Go back to the garden. The serpent took Eve, right? And he entreated Abraham well for her sake. And he had slept as sheep and oxen and asses, manservants and maidservants, she-asses and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So now we see right here what I just said. See who bringing the plagues? And the Lord, not Yahweh. The Lord plagued the Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. And Pharaoh called Abraham and said, what is this that thou hast done unto me? Remember that? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why sayest thou, she is my sister? So I might have taken her to me to wife. Now therefore, behold, thy wife, take her and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away, and his wife, and all that he had. Okay, that's verse. Anybody got a comment so far? That was chapter 12. Any comments?
Well, we're seeing the Lord of hosts coming in again, like you say, having the power, and how they have to, let go. They're letting go every time.
Right. They're aware of him. So yeah, and then the thing about it too, like I was saying, it's the Lord of hosts is Michael. His name means he was like Yahweh. So guess what they're doing? For what we've been doing forever, because the hook with us, we've been thinking it's Yahweh. That's who he is. It's he who is like Yahweh. We thinking it's Yahweh, not understanding the scriptures, but it ain't Yahweh. Up until you got this understanding, you thought it was Yahweh.
Yes, sir. Okay?
So chapter 13. And Abraham went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abraham was very rich in cattle and in silver and in gold. And he went on his journey. So this right here, we talked about this, yeah. So what should we get when we know what's getting ready to happen? And we see what Abraham did. Abraham was very rich in cattle, silver, and gold. He ain't got no dollar bills and he ain't got no cryptocurrency. Okay? So it says, and he went on his journey from the south, even unto Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar, which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. And the Lord also went, and Lot also, which went with Abraham, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. So I want to shine a light on something right quick. So we see that it says, chapter 13, verse 3, he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar, which he had made there at the first, and there Abraham called on the name of the Lord. So let that firmate. We see right here saying Yahweh, but guess who we calling on? We ain't calling on this person. We ain't calling on this person. We've been directed somewhere else. But Abraham ain't being directed nowhere. Every time he goes somewhere, he calling on the Lord, because he know who he is. And then you wonder why all this time we in a debacle. Because they got you somewhere else. You ain't calling on, you don't have to understand who this is, and you ain't calling it. You calling somebody else. So 5, that's the dilemma. In Psalms 83, right? So it says, verse 5, and Lot also, which went with Abraham, had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abraham's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdsman and thy herdsman, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou would take the left hand, then I will go to the right. And if thou will depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. So let's look at that. I showed you over here in the verse 12, verse 1. Now the Lord has said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country, from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. So Lot is Abraham's brother's son. That's his part of his father's house. But then in verse 4, we see Lot went with him. That ain't what he told him. Now look at what happened. Verse 7, 13 and 7. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abraham's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt in the land. And Abraham said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between thy herdsman and thy herdsman, for we be brethren. See that? There's a drama. That's why he told him, go by yourself. Get thee from around your father's house and your kindred. So anyway, we see what happened right here. 10, it's 13 and 10. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and behold, all the plains of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere before the Lord. Destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest into Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plains of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. So let's look at that. Verse 11. And Lot chose him all the plains of Jordan, and Lot journeyed to the east. Well, let's look at that. Go back to Genesis chapter 10. Okay. Chapter 11. This is the Tower of Babel. And the whole earth was one language and one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed to the east. See that? Lot going the same place they went. We already know he ended up right there in Sodom and Gomorrah. You're going the same place they went. See that? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it says, let me get it. 11. Then Lot chose him all the plains of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, right? He ended up in Sodom and Gomorrah, and they separated themselves one from the other. Abraham dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plains, in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. There it is. So Lot in Canaan. That's where the Lord of hosts said. 13. But then the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. Right? It says, and the Lord said unto Abram. So let me shine a light on something right quick. So 13 says, chapter 13, verse 13. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. So they wanted to make you think that Nimrod was righteous before the Lord. But see what it say? But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord. They wicked as hell, but they in the Lord's dominion. But they wicked as hell. So let's go back right quick. I want to shine a light on this. It says, let me get it. Verse 6 of chapter 10. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, Havilah, Seba, Rimelah. Anyway, verse 8. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. See that? So ain't nothing good about that. He wicked as hell. He just in the land in the allotment that the Lord gave Michael before the Lord. Okay. So 13 and 14. And the Lord said unto Abraham, after that Lot was separated from him. Lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art northward, southward, eastward, westward, and all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and unto thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that a man can number the dust of the earth. Then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abraham removed his tent, came and dwelt in the plains of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. So back like I was saying, when the 12 spies came, they saw the sons of Anak, 3 giants. They Nephilim. They were here, not the Canaanites. These 10 spies seen the 3 sons of Anak, and they gave you their names. So right here, it says, verse 18, Abraham removed his tent, came and dwelt in the plains of Mamre. That's a giant. That's a Nephilim giant. Dwell on that plain, which is in Hebron, and he built there an altar unto the Lord. Okay? So that's the same when you get to verse, go to chapter 18, right quick. Chapter 18, and the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre. See that? And he sat in the tent during the heat of the day. It's an angel. It's a Nephilim giant there. It's a well there. A Nephilim giant that came from an angel. Okay? That's who Mamre is. Any comments? That was chapter 13. Any comments?
No, sir.
Shalom.
Okay.
I have a question, Brother Meta, right quick, please. Armor Fall, is that connected to Nimrod?
That's Nimrod's name. That's his new name.
That's it.
He
That's his.
He didn't get destroyed at all. He didn't get destroyed at the Tower of Babel. He the one erected all that, but he didn't get killed at the Tower of Babel.
Okay.
So chapter 14, verse 1 says, it came to pass in those days, the days of Amrathal, king of Shinar. Didn't Nimrod go to Shinar?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
him.
I see.
That's his name. That's his new name.
Okay.
They gave him another name. People get names according to events that happen in places. So Amrathal means that it's tied to that he that survived the Tower of Babel. That name kind of is associated with that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then verse 2 says that these made war with Barak, king of Sodom, and with Barak, king of Gomorrah, Sinai, I don't know his name, but anyway, what you have to understand about this, when he was saying, I was telling you that these kings came out. Og and these different giants that Nephilim that Joshua and Moses was killing, they over like city states. They like notice it come in fives. See that? You got five Armathar, King of Shinar, then you got 5 city states under it. Then you go to verse 2, that these may war with, then he go no 5 more. 5 is kingdoms, 5, five big old regions, but they got a whole bunch of small city states tied to them, but they got 5 major cities. And that's why they call kings. So this war right here is Abraham. Remember what Abraham got. Abraham got those giants. Let's look at it right quick. Chapter 15, verse 18. Abraham made a covenant. The Lord made a covenant with Abraham, right? I'm in Genesis 15, 18. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land. That's the land was gave to him by Yahweh. He given it to Abraham. From the river of Egypt unto the great river Euphrates. Then here we go. 19, same over there in Genesis chapter 10. The Kenite, the Kerizzite, the Kebite, all these, the Amorite, the Canaanite, all these come out of from Canaan. So not only did Abraham get the land, but all these giants that's on the land got given to Abraham. Well, when they were circumcised. So that's what brought about this war over here in chapter 14. You got circumcised giants and uncircumcised giants. The uncircumcised giants got a hate for circumcised giants. They think that's an abomination to get circumcised. So that's what brought about this war right here in chapter 14, verse 3. All these were joined together in the veil of Sidon. That's the war. You can Google that word. You get a lot of information. It says the veil of Sidon, which is by the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Calaman, I can say that name. In the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year, Calaman and the kings that were with him and smote the red from Ashtaroth, Kerim, and Zuzan, and Ham, and the Eman. So see all these names that they in Deuteronomy chapter 2. I told you these Nephilim. These the giant ones, the original ones that was there when these other countries came, and the Lord of hosts helped them subdue them. Then you got the smaller giants with the ITE on the end of their name. It says verse 6, and the Horites, and the Mount Seir, and the unto, I can't say these words, El Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to Emish, which is a Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites, yeah, ITE. He's not as big. And also the Amorites, and dwelt at Hezum Tamar. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Adamah, and the king of Zebulun, and the king of Bela, the same as Zor. And they joined battle with them in the vale of Zidon, which is Cabal, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of the nations, and Armathal, Nimrod, king of Shinar, and Arik, king of Elzar, 4 kings with 5. And the vale of Zidon was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountains, and they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their visuals, and went their way. And they took Lot, Abraham's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and they departed. So there goes some more drama, Lot bringing. Right, 13. And here we go right here. Abraham rescues Lot, and there came out one that escaped, and told Abraham the Hebrew, where he dwelt in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Escol, brother of Anar, and these were confederate with Abraham. See that? So all these became confederate with Abraham because when the Most High made the covenant with Abraham, they became part of it. They fall under Abraham's authority. 14. And when Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, these giants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them until Haba, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the people. In 17, and the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Kelah and the kings that were with him at the valley of Sheba, which is in the king's vale. And Melchizedek, king of Sodom, brought forth bread. This Shem brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed them and said, Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hands. And he gave him a tithe of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abraham, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abraham said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and I will not take from a thread even to a shoelace, and that will I not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldst say, I have made Abraham rich, save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me. Anar, see that? He go these giants I told you about. Anar, Iskal, and they go Mamre. That's how we know it. Mamre, the plains of Mamre is a giant. See that? 24. Save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me. Men which went with me. Anar, Iskal, Mamre. There you go. Let them take their portion. So he friends with these giants. That's why he in the plains of Mamre. Him and Mamre is buddies. So that's why David got giants around him, because he got it from Abraham. Abraham got them around him. See? Okay. The Lord promised Abraham. Any questions? Chapter 14.
So is it that Abraham refused to take anything? Is that what?
No. So you go to 21, 14,
Okay.
21. And the kings of Sodom said unto these giants, right?
Right.
Said unto Abram, Give me the persons and take the goods to thyself. So way back here, they dealing with slaves. So it says, Abraham said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hands unto the Lord. Does that ring a bell? That ring a bell?
No, sir.
Okay.
He's been lifting his hand up to
the Lord
the
of hosts.
Lord of hosts. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So
So my question. Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
So my question was, did Abraham refuse to take anything so that, how am I trying to say this? So that he won't be obligated to the king of Sodom, where he says 23, that I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abraham rich. What is that? Verse 14.
Right.
I mean 23, I'm sorry.
Right. So go back to when Amalek tried to take Sarah. What happened when he ended up giving the Lord of hosts came that night and told him that
Let her go, right.
Let her go. Sarah belonged to Abraham, and told him made Abraham rich. Abraham left out rich, right?
Right.
So who made Abraham rich?
The Lord of hosts.
So right here, he said, I lifted my hands up to the Lord that made me rich. I don't want nothing from you, on me. Everything you talking about, you got is his too.
Got you. Okay.
See that?
Yes.
So that's why he wouldn't take nothing.
Okay. Got it.
Chapter 15. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abraham, I am thy shield. See that? I am thy shield and thy exceedingly great reward. That's why he ain't take it. Says, and Abraham said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless? And the steward of my house is Eliezer of Damascus. And Abraham said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. Okay, so let's stop right there. I'm tying all this stuff together. So remember on the ladies' line, what the guy revealed to us about the life of Sarah.
Yes.
When he said that Sarah made a pact when Abraham came to get her as a wife. That she said he's not gonna. She don't want him to marry nobody else, just her. And Abraham told her, "That's cool, as long as you give me a seed."
Yes.
And she said, being confident in herself, saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna give you a seed."
I could do that.
Right, but the Most High closed her womb up. So now we see
Right.
right here. Abraham said, chapter 15, verse 3. Abraham said, "Behold, to me thou has given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir." So what that tell you? Most High, Lord hosts and closed Sarah's womb up.
Right.
See that? So 4. And behold, the word of the Lord. Remember, go back to so Sarah feeling a certain type of way about herself, how she looked. See what I'm saying? So go to Rachel and Leah. He closed Rachel's womb. Rachel was feeling a certain type of way about herself.
Yep.
Okay? Yeah. So anyway, verse 4. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir. But he said, but he that shall come forth out of thy bowels shall be thine heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. And he delivered, and he believed in the Lord, and he counted him for righteousness. So I want to shine light on this right quick, because this go over a lot of people's head too. So right here, he said, the Lord of hosts, right, took Abraham out and he brought him forth abroad, verse 5, 15 and 5, and he said, Look now toward heaven and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. So when you get to Deuteronomy, so it's the promise right here. By the time you get to Deuteronomy, he didn't fulfill his promise. It's Israelites all over the place, you know. And we know we can look up in the sky and see the stars. So that's how many it was. So now look at 28, one of the curses. This going over a lot of people's head. He says, verse 28 and 60. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. So who is the he? 6 in verse 6, there's the Lord of hosts. And Yahweh. See that? Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also, every sickness, every plague which is not written in this book of the law, them will the Lord, see that, bring upon thee until he destroy thee. Now here we go, 62. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye was as the stars of heaven. See that? For a multitude, because thou would not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. So we just read over here where he taught him out, brought him out, and told him, I'm gonna make you, there's gonna be so many of y'all like the sands, like the stars in heaven. He completed that. By the time you get to Deuteronomy, they won't listen to him after he done all that. What we're dealing with right now is he reducing that. Same way he multiplied them, it's him that's reducing them. Like I showed you, it's him that bringing the plagues. It's him that's closing up. He closing up Rachel them in wombs and opening wombs. It ain't Yahweh.
Right, right. It says that in Exodus 23 and 21, beware of him and obey his voice.
Right.
Right there, what you read in Deuteronomy. Yes, sir.
Right. Exactly. So I'm in Genesis 15 and 7, and he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee up out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee this land to inherit it. Right. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me a heifer of 3 years old. See, this where the meat at. So he says, take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds he divided not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abraham drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom thou shalt serve will I judge, and after that shall they come out with great substance, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Then 17, it came to pass that when the sun went down, that it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between these pieces. So here go the point right here. This right here is a doozy. So verse 7, Genesis 15 and 7. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee this land to inherit. So let's make this plain for the naysayers that's out there. So he says in verse 7, Genesis 15 and 7, he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee this land to inherit it. So we go over here to Judges right quick. Make it plain. So he says in Judges, right, chapter 2, chapter 3. Chapter 3, tripping. See, Judges chapter 3, I'm tripping, man. Okay, so Judges chapter 3, 2. Judges chapter 2 says, verse 1, Judges chapter 2 and 1. And the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Beckham, and he said, I made you. The angel said this, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and have brought you into the land which I swore unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant. So this verse right here shines light on who it is that they're dealing with. They brought them up out of Egypt. The angel of the Lord came up and he told them, I'm the one who brought you out of Egypt, right? And I'm the one who got the covenant, not Yahweh. So let's go back over here in Genesis chapter 15, verse 7. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee up out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee the land to inherit it. So we see it's the angel, same angel that's talking, right? So my question is, oh man. So my question is, hold up. So my question is, well, where is Angel at? Where he at right now while you talking to Abraham? Anybody can answer that? Is he right there with Abraham?
Yes.
Yeah, he right there. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, he's standing right there with him. He says, he said unto him, he's standing right there. I am the Lord that brought thee up out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee this land. Now watch this. And he said, Abraham told him, Lord God, they're standing right there, just like on the Transformers. You saw the movie Transformers, the boy talking to the Transformers right there. So he says, and he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit this, right? So now they, both of them there. Then look what he say. And he said unto him, take me a heifer 3 years old, and a she-goat 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a pigeon. And he took unto him all these and divided them in the midst, and laid the pieces on against another, but the birds he divided not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abraham drove them away. So when Abraham doing the sacrifice, he right there. See that? So go to the temple. He ain't there with them. That's what David talking about. When he tell them, cut the fat, get the fat, burn this, and do that, get the frankincense and myrrh and the almond trees and lay it on there and burn it so I can smell it. He ain't in heaven.
Right, the sweet savor.
So he right there. It ain't Yahweh. So anyway,
right.
So then he says 11, and when and say 12, and when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And when he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land. So while Abraham setting all this up, he talking to him. See, he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is is not theirs, and he shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Anyway, you going down to 17. It came to pass that when the sun had went down and it was dark, behold, this him, this the Lord of hosts, a smoking furnace, a burning lamp that passed between the pieces. That's him. Just like with Moses, he came on a bush as a flame of fire. He transformed himself as a flame of fire on the bush, and the bush didn't burn. When Abraham made these sacrifices, he received them. He came as who he really is, a living fire. So he turned into shape-shifted, came through the pieces like a living fire. Right? Okay. In 18, in the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river Euphrates. And the Kenites, the Kezites, I read all this. So he inherited all these giants. The land and everything in the land, Abraham inherited, him and his seed.
Shalom. Just like in the garden when Adam and Eve made that altar sacrifice, and the Lord of hosts, spit the fire down on it to get the sweet smell to say that they were willing to die because they shamed him, and they felt bad.
Right. And the same thing with when you understand what we just read and what was just conveyed, go to Cain and Abel. He's standing right there. Cain and Abel came up to the altar. And he accepted Abel's offering. And he refused Cain's offering. He ain't in heaven nowhere. He's standing right there.
Just like he put them to sleep, and then he put Abraham to sleep, and when he put him to sleep to do what he's going to do.
Exactly. Right, they right there. Same with Nathan. When Nathan told David to go in and build him a house, it's okay. Nathan wasn't authorized to do that. So that night, he came to Nathan and told him, "Now go back and tell David he ain't gonna build no house. His son gonna build it. Solomon gonna build it." So they ain't, like I said, it ain't no, he right there. That's what people. That's what they don't want us to know. That's how they hoodwinked us. It ain't Yahweh, and then it ain't he ain't. It's not him that's coming down and dealing with him. This is his redeemer, his mediator that was there from the beginning. They didn't dethrone it when they concocted JC. Yeah. So anybody else got any comments? We had 2 hours. Anybody got anything else to go?
Shalom. Yes. Like we see the plagues that he put on on the people and do the things, the situations. They want to say that JC don't do no wrong. He's all right. No, Michael does these things because this is his role. This is what he's supposed to do.
Right.
When you disobey.
Exactly.
And he can always come back like he has done, because again, he is the redeemer. He is over sin. He is protector. So he comes back when he does something. If you're in line, because you're part of the prophecy to start with, and he keeps, doing the corrections and keep doing his role.
Right. Exactly. That's how you rightly divide it and track it when you understand that it's who's who, and then you can tell by their characteristics and by their actions who you're dealing with and who you're not dealing with. So that's how that works. But that was hid from us for centuries. But Most High said in the latter days He's gonna pour His Spirit out on that seed, and then knowledge is gonna increase. He's gonna bring back our knowledge and our culture and our way of life, and that's where we are right now. That's how we know we at the end. Okay. Anybody else got anything before we go?
I just want to go back to what you talked about, the priests or priestess. Like today, when you go over to Saudi Arabia and Dubai and all of that, there's still those type of sub Nephilims, like you broke it down to us, are still marching around like they're kings.
Right, exactly.
From their lineage, their lineage, and still doing these things with these young boys, these men, these little girls, making them women. They be like 10 years old and have to pleasure men, grown men, still today over there, because they are kings and princes, and that's that power that they have through the lineage to be able to do that.
Right, and then we most people not understanding that don't see none of that because they don't have the proper information ain't being conveyed to them, so they don't see that. And then, like I said, they was identified all in the scriptures in the Tanak by their height, but the source of their height ain't there no more. So they still the same, but their height they're not as tall as when Joshua and Moses and them saw him, they knew him by their height. And David, when he came up against Goliath, they knew them by their height, but the height was taken away over the years, over the centuries. They still have height. Some of them have 7 or 8 feet tall, but you're not as tall as back in the day. So it's not so. A lot of the information has been hidden, and people not understanding where this height came from. But
but we see them we see them in their riches that they tried to promise those, like when he tried to promise Abraham them, and Abraham said he wouldn't take it because Lord of hosts already made him rich. He didn't need that. But today, that gold and the riches that they have over there in Saudi Arabia and in those lands, that's what they use as their power. The riches that you see that they have, and how they do the sin that they have, that's So just like with the Catholicism and the Pope, you know, and all the riches in the Vatican they have, but then they do the sin that we can blatantly see, and everybody knows what they do, but it is of, they say, of their culture, but it's not, it's of their lineage that they do these things.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's and they gave us a whole nother take on it, and so that's why they getting away with it, because we looking at it a whole different way. Prime example what Biden just said. He trying to incorporate the transvestites and all that into good when that ain't good. When we going
not
for
at
it.
all.
Right. Yeah. That's how they operate. Oh, yeah.
And they also passing laws about, excuse me, men can marry these young girls without the parent consent.
Right.
So they
Exactly.
they really putting it out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they think they got us. Like he said, he's gonna put yoke of iron around our neck, and then when he take the yoke of iron off, we'll be destroyed. So we ain't gonna put up no resistance. But not understanding that the Most High said that he's gonna pour his spirit out on us in the latter days, and then it's gonna what they done ain't gonna mean nothing, because he's gonna pour spirit out on us. And that's where we at.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All right.
sir. Hallelujah.
Everybody good?
Yes, sir. Very good. Thank you.
All right. Okay. You say shalom. I'll see you right. We got the women's night tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So
Shalom and thank you.
men can come in through YouTube. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom. Shalom, everyone.